Part 95. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 941. Chapter 941 Because I Like It. He accepted the kowtow between mother and son because he knew that Yan Xiangluo's cultivation level was higher than him. Such a strong person did not need to salute his elders in front of his relatives, but she still knelt down and kowtowed. It shows that this girl is very affectionate and righteous. She also expressed her meaning silently. Although she did not recognize her relatives, in their hearts, Wei Qing was still their elder. Get up! Wei Qing walked up to them and helped them up. Yan Xiangluo, mother and son got up and sat down again. Wei Qing added, I have traveled around in my life, and I stopped to practice in seclusion wherever I had the opportunity. I have been stuck in the bottleneck for hundreds of years. Since I came to Xuanhuan College, I must be destined to be here. I heard Xuanhuan Academy does not look at status but only talent for admission, and you have to earn the tuition yourself. This reminds me of the helplessness I felt when I wanted to learn the power of soul control and had no way to turn to others. It gives hope to those who have the talent of a heavenly master who have no way to turn to me, so my decision will not change. Ji Zhong spoke. Xuanhuan College welcomes Master Wei Qing Tian to stay and teach. Wei Qing smiled, this girl is related to me by blood and I can't see her luck. But I can't see your luck either. This means that you are a person with great luck. Only such a person can have good luck hidden by the way of heaven, no one with a higher level of cultivation can see through it. Although I can't see your destiny, I have a hunch that the 9 UN continent will change because of your existence. Ji Zhong glanced at Wei Qing with his phoenix eyes, knowing that his ability to say these words proved that his celestial master cultivation was indeed very strong, and that they would take advantage of him by staying in Xuanhuan College to teach. If we really have the ability to change something, and the people on the entire continent benefit, there's nothing wrong with it. Ji Zhong's words mean that no matter what we do, people across the continent will benefit from it. Our great luck is positive and we will never do anything that is detrimental to our morality. How could Wei Qing not understand what Ji Zhong meant? She nodded and changed the subject. You will send me an invitation to your wedding, right? Ji Zhong glanced at Yan Xiangluo. It was up to Luoluo to decide whether or not to send invitations to Wei Qing for their wedding. Yan Xiangluo took out an invitation, wrote Wei Qing's name on the spot, and handed it to him with her hands on her hands. It is our honor for Senior Wei Qing to attend our wedding. Wei Qing received the invitation, saw the words on it and said approvingly, the words are just like the person she is. She is indeed not a simple girl. Praise me if you can. Xiangluo is very happy, Yan Xiangluo said with a smile like a flower. Although he did not recognize his ancestors openly, since he knew that Wei Qing was the ancestor of his mother's lineage, he naturally still had to respect him. Wei Qing has an understanding of Yan Xiangluo's way of dealing with things. This girl has clear grudges and good intentions. She has a clear mind and is a rare pure person. Yu Chenjai stood up and said, now that we've said it, we won't disturb you and take our leave. Wei Qing responded, okay. He stood up and sent them out. As they walked out, Yan Xiangluo joked to Wei Lan, I said before that we can still be friends even if we can't be relatives. Now it seems that we are really friends. It seems that I am taking advantage. If we really talk about seniority, Yan Xiangluo is who knows how many generations younger than the demigod Wei Lan. Now when we get along as friends, we are the same generation. Wei Lan sighed, you girl. Everything was said without saying anything. No matter how reluctant demigod Wei Lan was to let go of such an outstanding girl, she knew that she could not interfere too much. Yan Xiangluo smiled mischievously and said, I haven't seen your uncle for a long time. Let's have a good chat. The courtyard of Yan's mansion has been sorted out for you. You can live in the college if you like. Wei Lan nodded half-heartedly, okay, my friend, thank you for your trouble. One sentence from the friend showed that he had completely let go. Yan Xianglue waved to him, then took her brother's hand and walked side by side with Ji Zhong outside. Looking at their parents walking in front, Yan Xianglue and Ji Zhong smiled knowingly. Ji Zhong looked at her lovingly, and the family left Tianqi Pavilion easily. Wei Lan, the demigod, looked at the family's leaving figures and asked, "Uncle, you don't like this girl at all?" Wei Qing stood in front of the door with her hands clasped behind her hands and watched as the family disappeared from sight. "Just because I like it, I don't want to drag her down." Wei Qing's voice was calm, but Wei Lan half-consciously heard the strong emotion. This was also the first time he saw emotions belonging to a normal person in his uncle. Only then did demigod Wei Lan understand the intention behind his brother-in-law's decision. "My brother-in-law is afraid that those in the Wei family will become a drag on Yuan Xianglue. Their family's ability to come from a low-level continent to a high-level continent has always relied on themselves. Now their cultivation and power do not need our protection. On the contrary, existences like the Wei family are likely to become a drag on them." Wei Qing returned to Tianqi Pavilion and explained as he walked. "The Wei family has been passed down to this day. It is too large, and the moral character of the clan members is mixed. If they are really killed, I am afraid that someone in the Wei family will do something bad by taking advantage of the power of Zhuyuan City, which will backfire. It's better to just let them live the life they want as a family." Wei Lan demigod followed behind him. "I understand what my uncle meant, but what about the man named Long Mo Cheng?" Wei Qing paused and said, "Let them solve it themselves. That girl can't spare him. Even if she can back her brother's destiny, her level of heavenly master is probably even stronger than hers. What's the point of keeping such a scum?" Demigod Wei Lan sighed, "I didn't expect that the strongest bloodline in our Wei family would be them." Wei Qing looked back at him and said, "This matter is rotten in my heart. I can't tell anyone, not even your grandparents. Do you understand?" Demigod Wei Lan nodded, raised his head and said, "Just because I don't say it doesn't mean that the Wei family will never know. My uncle and I can sense the blood aura on their bodies, and others can naturally sense it as well. As long as the cultivation level is above godlike. Wei Tingtang is not worried about this matter. Don't worry, we don't need to worry about this matter, they will solve it on their own." Since that girl had already made plans not to recognize each other, she naturally knew how to avoid future troubles. If she couldn't do it, she should have spoken to her just now. Wei Lan was stunned for a moment, then asked, "How to solve it?" He has never heard of anyone who can change the blood and aura of his body. Wei Qing raised her lips and smiled, "Don't believe it?" The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 942. Chapter 942 Hidden Bloodline. Demigod Wei Lan shook his head, "Since my uncle said that they can solve it themselves, they can definitely solve it. I'm just curious which one of them has such strength." Wei Qing narrowed her eyes and said, "Both husband and wife should have this strength." Demigod Wei Lan naturally understood which couple his uncle was talking about. They were the young couple Yan Xianglue and Ji Zhong. "I thought to myself, the Wei family really does not have such luck, and such blood is lost outside like this. However, I also understand in my heart that even if I recognize it, as Yu Xianglue said, the sister and brother's surname is Yu. If they are not surnamed Long, they will not be surnamed Wei. Thinking about it this way, I feel comfortable." "Is this why you're here?" Wei Qing asked his nephew after sitting down. "It's just one of them. I still have to attend the girl's wedding." Demigod Wei Lan also told the story about Yun's Hang Palace and explained that he had left Yun's Hang Palace. Wei Qingdao was not surprised by his decision, and he looked at the young couple Yan Xianglue and Ji Zhong in a different light. It seemed that they were really friendly to him. "What are your plans for the future?" "Originally, I wanted to stay in Zhuyuan College as a teacher, but it is best for us, uncle and nephew, to keep one of us here, and there is no shortage of teachers in Xuanhuan College to teach alchemy. After I attended their wedding, I planned to take advantage of my uncles. I asked Luo Yetu to help me buy a house in the inner city. My uncle must have discovered it. The concentration of spiritual energy in the outer city is no worse than that of Yun's Hang Palace. The concentration of spiritual energy in this inner city is even stronger than that in the outer city. This is indeed an excellent place. A place of training. Wei Qing glanced at him and said, "You still need to take advantage of my status. I think you have more face than me in front of Luo Yetu." "Haha, uncle, are you jealous?" Demigod Wei Lan laughed. Wei Qing ignored him and reminded him, "There is a training tower in the inner city. All the black feather guards can go in and practice. The future students and teachers of Xuanhuan Academy can also go in and practice. You can ask Luo Yetu if it is okay. Go in and practice." Demigod Wei Lan suddenly became interested. "Isn't the training tower the one you saw when you came into the inner city?" Wei Qing nodded. "That's the tower. Then I really have to go out of my way to beg Luo Yetu. When I saw it, I felt that this tower was extraordinary," Wei Lan said half-heartedly. When Yan Xiongluo and his family returned to Yan's mansion, Yan Chenjai said to Ji Zhizhong and Yan Xiongluo, "Since we have reached a consensus with Wei Qing, we need to do one more thing to avoid future troubles." Yan Xiongluo said, "Solve the problem of bloodline being discovered by other members of the Wei family." Yu Chenjai said proudly, "Luo has already made plans. From the beginning to the end, I didn't want to recognize the Wei family, so I had already thought about the bloodline issue," Yan Xiongluo said frankly. "What if he must admit it?" Yan Chenjai asked, raising his eyebrows. "I have a way to hide our bloodline. Even if the Wei family takes the bloodline stone, it won't be able to detect it." Yan Xiongluo curled her lips. "If the Wei family must admit them back, then it is obviously not because of blood ties, but because of their status and power, so why should she be polite? She's quite capable." Wan Chenjai knew that his daughter had an idea, but he was also surprised. He had already made a plan. "Sister is so awesome." Ruan Anluo was obsessed with this sister, and immediately looked at her sister with starry eyes. Chenjai looked speechlessly at his son, who was a little stupid when he met his sister. "Now you have to hide your bloodline." Zhu Chenjai was also helpless. It's not that they are afraid of the Wei family, but they simply don't want to cause trouble. "Zhuzhong, come on." Yan Xiongluo looked at Ji Zhuzhong and said. Although she can do it herself, if Ji Zhizhong takes action, the effect should be better than hers. After all, his Xuanhuan technique is much higher than hers. Ji Zhizhong responded with a smile, "Okay." So, when the demigod Wei Lan came to the palace the next day, he found that just as his brother-in-law said, he could no longer sense the blood of the Wei family in the mother and son. Although he was curious, he did not ask. Since he had decided not to mention bloodline, he had to do it, so he went straight to the topic. "Luo Yetu, can I enter that training tower?" Yan Xiang nodded, "Of course you can, but the training tower cannot be completed in one go. Your talent and strength determine how many times it takes you to complete the training. When you reach the 9th floor, it will be considered complete. The training tower will be useful to you. There is no need for training anymore, and there is no need to go in for training anymore. This is true for everyone." Demigod Wei Lan nodded to show that he understood. "After your wedding, I want to go in and give it a try. I haven't made a breakthrough in my cultivation for a long time." Yan Xiongluo handed him a token to enter the training tower. "This is the token to enter the training tower. You can go in and train at any time." Demigod Wei Lan immediately took the token. "Who will I give it to after I finish training?" Yan Xiongluo smiled and said, "Keep it, you can use it for younger generations with good conduct." Wei Yan's demigod was immediately moved. Although this girl did not recognize him as a member of the Wei family, she treated him as a relative. Wei Lan suppressed the emotion in his heart and said, "If there is anything I can do to help you during your wedding, just tell me." Yuan Xianglou said, "Okay, I won't be polite to you if I need you." Zhuyuan city has been festive for several days in advance, especially in the outer city. Every house has taken the initiative to decorate the front door, as well as every shop. The wedding of the city lord of Zhuyuan city is the biggest happy event. There is no need to everyone did well as he was told. Although ancestor Zimo and Yan Xiangluo's parents were worrying about him, Ji Zhikong was still very busy. The main reason is that he wants to arrange everything before the wedding. The new year will be a few days after the wedding. He doesn't want to worry about other things anymore. He just wants to spend a relaxing new year with Luoluo and his father-in-law and mother-in-law. He has not done so for so many years. Have a decent year. They plan to leave on the 15th day of the first lunar month. Yan Xiangluo was not idle either. After Mu Changling and Deng Chang's arrived, she handed Qi Hao over to her master, and she worked in her yard for 3 days. Seeing that the wedding day was coming in 3 days, Yan Xiangluo came out of the yard. It happened that Chang Feng came to give her the news she asked to check before, about long mocking. After reading the message, Yan Xiangluo gained a new understanding of Long Mocking's cruelty and was even more determined to get rid of him. In order to get back her brother's luck, she injured Long Mocking and lost an An's luck. The good luck stolen in Long Mocking's body for so many years lost its balance. Soon, he could no longer suppress it. In order to recover from his injury, he must solve the problem of losing balance in his luck. Yan Xiangluo didn't expect that he would choose the easiest way. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 943. Chapter 943 Death is Coming. This method is to use the luck of the children who are biologically related to oneself to maintain the balance of luck. In fact, what she didn't know was that Long Mocking originally only wanted to take part of his children's luck, but it was not enough. As a result, he took out all the luck from his twins, so that the 2 children lost all their luck in an instant. Passed out. And he was practicing to suppress his destiny. After he suppressed and balanced his destiny, it was already a month later, and his 2 children had been dead for a long time. His wife suddenly went crazy. She could endure anything, but he couldn't bear that his husband was so cruel that he even gave up his own child. So what a woman she was. His wife wanted to poison him and then commit suicide. The whole family went to spend time with their children, but Long Mocking found out and poisoned her to death. Then Long Mocking left, and no one knew where he went. Yu Xiangluo was ready to attack him, but he couldn't be found. His delicate brows furrowed. No matter how cunning Long Mocking was, he couldn't get out of her palm. Did he think that he just regained his brother's destiny last time? In the past few years with Ji Zhihong, she not only learned the mysterious patterns, but also learned how to do one thing and 3 things. Yan Xiangluo put away the message and asked Chang Feng, "Where is Zhikong?" "Master is in the inner city office." The information was sent by the master to his subordinates. "The master asked me to tell the mistress that he will be back in an hour," Chang Feng said respectfully. Yan Xiangluo nodded, "Tell him to go directly to the palace when he comes back." Chang Feng answered and left. Yan Xiangluo went to her parents' yard. Her father was not there, but her mother was. The house was full of things, all of which were prepared for her on her wedding day. Mother Yan Xiangluo shouted in a coquettish tone. Long Moran hadn't heard his daughter call her like this for many years. His eyes suddenly became wet. He put down the things in his hands, walked over, took his daughter's hand and sat down on the couch in front of the window. My mother's daughter has really grown up. While they were no longer with her, her daughter had not only grown up, but also got married, and was about to fly to a place that they could not reach. Mom, We will get better and better. The last time we separated as a family was to survive, this time we separated is to live better. Believe me, it won't be long before we see each other again. Yan Xianglego knew that her mother had always felt guilty for leaving her 10-year-old self to make a living alone. Now that they finally met, they had to separate again. Long Moran wiped away his tears and smiled, "Mom is not as good as your child. Mother can't bear to leave me, I know." Yan Xianglego leaned on her mother's arms. It was rare that she had time to act coquettishly in her arms. Long Moran hugged his daughter, just like he used to coax her when he was a child, and gently patted her arm. The two women chatted about the past and present events, and the atmosphere was very warm. "Mom, has my sister come out?" Enlogo's voice came from the yard, a little anxious. Yan Xianglego sat up and came to the door with her mother. If her brother could be so upset, something must have happened. But what could happen at home in Xuanhuan City? Wan Enlogo came running at full speed. At this time, she rushed to the door and saw her sister was there, and her eyes suddenly lit up. "Sister, I don't feel well. It's a bit like the discomfort I felt before," Wan Enlogo said anxiously. Hearing this, Yan Xianglego's almond-shaped eyes flashed fiercely. "I was just about to find him, and he actually took the initiative to die." Hua Luo said to Yuan Luo, "Don't be afraid, my sister is here." She knew that Long Mocking's injury could not be healed, so she continued to seize her brother's destiny to heal the injury. Since he can find his brother, it means that he is in Xuanhuan City. However, he cannot enter the inner city, so he should be in the outer city. It is possible that his younger brother went to the outer city and was seen by Long Mocking. But why did my brother go to the outer city? Wan Enluo was really scared just now. Although he knew that his sister was very powerful, he really didn't want to go back to the way it was before when he couldn't cultivate his body and it was not good. At this time, after listening to my sister's words, I immediately felt at ease. Enan went to the outer city, Yan Xiangluo asked. Ruan Enluo nodded and said, "Well, I heard that a flower garden opened in the outer city. I was thinking about my sister's wedding a few days ago and bought some flowers for her to put in her new house, so I went to have a look and bought a lot of flowers. It's all in the front yard." Yan Xiangluo understood clearly. It seemed that there was something wrong with this flower garden, and there was an informant in the inner city. It seems that their defense is not strict enough. Ruan Xiangluo pulled Ruan Enluo toward the yard. As she walked, she said to her mother, "Mom, I want to deal with Long Mocking. Don't let anyone disturb me. Zhe Kong is here. Ask him to arrange for someone to check that flower garden. And the informants in the inner city should also tell him." Long Moran said immediately, "Don't worry, I will ask your father to come back right away. There is a formation in this courtyard. As long as I close the door, no one can come in." Yan Xiangluo had already pulled her brother to the middle of the courtyard. With a thought, the 9-story lotus platform appeared in front of her eyes. He picked up his younger brother and threw him up. "Enan, sit cross-legged, and then relax yourself. No matter what happens, don't move." "Okay." Enluo, who was thrown on the 9-story lotus platform, immediately got up and sat cross-legged. When his sister asked him about going to the outer city, he knew that he was probably being tricked when he went to the outer city. "Some regret that I was reckless and not cautious enough. I thought I was safe in Xuanhuan City. Everyone dared to provoke the city lord's brother-in-law in Xuanhuan City. He is too self-righteous. Concentrate your mind and calm your energy." Yan Xiangluo reminded her immediately when she sensed that her brother was restless. Hearing this, Wan Enluo quickly put aside the messy thoughts in her mind, and it took a while to settle down. At this time, Yan Xiangluo's preparations were completed. She just flew up, sitting cross-legged and suspended in front of her younger brother. She was slightly taller than him, and a soul-controlling power penetrated into his younger brother's consciousness. At this moment, Yan Chenjai, who received a message from his daughter-in-law, rushed back and happened to meet Jizhong in front of the house. Jizhong saw his father-in-law's expression and asked quickly, "Dad, what's wrong?" Long Mocking took action against An, and Xianxia also received the sentence from his daughter-in-law, asking him to come back quickly. Hearing this, the two of them teleported directly to the gate of the courtyard where Xianxia and his wife lived. Long Moran, who was guarding the door, saw the two coming and immediately let them into the yard and locked the yard door. Told the two of them what Yan Xiangluo said word for word. Jizhong glanced at Luoluo floating in the yard. He couldn't help here, so he said to Xianxia and his wife, "Father, Mother, I will take people to find someone. Luoluo can only attack his soul. I go and guard, and you must not let him escape." The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 944. Chapter 944. They are all greedy. I knew that this was more all, and he couldn't help him with his daughter, but just kept keeping people not disturbing. He nodded to Jijudian and said, "Don't worry, your mother and I are here." Jizhong said, "I'll ask Ancestor Zimo to come over." Yu Qianjai did not refuse. After all, Zimo was a trustworthy person and he would never betray Jizhong. After Jizhong left, Zimo came quickly. After taking a look at the situation of Yuan Xiangluo and Yuan Anluo, he didn't say anything and just stood aside quietly. At this time, in Zhuyuan Academy, Wei Qing sensed the powerful power of soul control and stood up immediately. He walked out of Tianqi Pavilion and looked towards the direction where the power of soul control came from, which was Yu's mansion. He was wondering in his mind whether the person who used the power of soul control was Long Moran or Yan Xiangluo. This soul-controlling power is obviously stronger than him. It seems that it should be that girl from Yan Xiangluo. Why is this girl using such a strong soul-controlling power? No matter how curious he was, he did not go there. Instead, he stood in front of the Tianqi Pavilion, holding a purple crystal ball that could be held in one palm. The purple crystal ball was spinning in his palm. The speed was not fast, but he could clearly feel it. The crystal ball is surrounded by strong soul-controlling power. If Yan Xiangluo would definitely find that Wei Qing's celestial master talent is indeed not low, you must know that his celestial master skills were all learned by himself. Although it took him more than 800 years, many people would not be able to learn to his level even if they had no talent for 8,000 years. At this time, Yan Xiangluo's spiritual power followed the soul-controlling power and chased Long Mocking's aura of stealing her brother's destiny. She did not stop Long Mocking from stealing her brother's destiny, because the other party would find out if she stopped him. Her purpose this time is to eradicate the root cause. Jizhong knew how to cooperate with her without her having to say anything. Jizhong should have found Long Mocking's hiding place by now and was waiting for him to take action. Perhaps it was because the person was close to her, so Yan Xiangluo found Long Mocking within a few moments of breathing. Sure enough, he was stealing his brother's luck to balance his own. The most important thing is that he has a black aura around him. This aura is very familiar to her, a real demonic aura. Yan Xiangluo admired Qin Suiwu a little at this time. She was not very good on the right path, but she was like a fish in water on the evil path. In just a few days, she has bribed a lot of people. There are only two that she knows about. The former palace master of Yun's Hang Palace, plus Long Mocking. Looked around carefully and did not see Qin Suiwu. Yan Xiangluo was a little regretful. She thought she could find Qin Suiwu directly. It seemed that she could only deal with Long Mocking today. She didn't know when Qin Suiwu would take action. Yan Xiangluo's soul control power is very strong. Although there is still a gap between her and her previous life at this time, because her current cultivation level is lower than that in her previous life, it is more than enough to deal with Long Mo Cheng. At this time, Jizhong was already quietly guarding the outside. With his current cultivation strength, Long Mocking could not detect him. But the Heavenly Master always has some special means to save his life. Therefore, Ji Zhong waited patiently for Luoluo to take action, and then took advantage of your illness to kill Long Mocking. Yan Xiongluo was not in a hurry to take action. People like Long Mocking were extremely evil. No matter what she did, she would not be punished by heaven. And Long Mocking now had many people's good luck in her body, and there was no way to return it. She was the original person, and she didn't want to waste her good luck like this. This is an honest opportunity to get good luck. Yu Xiang dropped a trace of her soul-controlling power into Long Mo Qing's body, and only then did she realize how chaotic the fate in his body was. I also know why he took such a big risk to come to Zhuyuan City. After his brother's destiny is introduced into his body, he will automatically balance the chaotic destiny. It's just that the speed is not fast. Even if it is faster, Long Mocking can't bear it. His celestial master's strength has not yet reached that level of endurance. It's just that the aura of the heavenly master on Long Mocking's body is no longer pure. Strictly speaking, he is no longer a heavenly master, and can only be regarded as a magician. Although Yan Xiongluo had always known that her younger brother's luck was special, she was still shocked when she saw the effect of his luck with her own eyes. She thought to herself that when she returned, she would instruct her parents to protect her younger brother, never let any heavenly masters get close to her younger brother, and never leave their sight until her younger brother grew up and had the ability to protect himself. Even Wei Qing can't do it. Not to mention outsiders, she, her biological sister, was very greedy when she saw his fortune. It's no wonder that Long Mocking took such a big risk to find him. On the one hand, he couldn't control his own destiny. The most important thing was that there was no more nutritious destiny in the world than his younger brother's. Long Mocking would need a lot of time to sort out his own destiny, at least 4 hours. If the younger brother hadn't sensed that something was wrong, even if she found Long Mocking 4 hours later, she might not have been able to find his complete destiny. Yan Xiongluo became very angry when she thought of this possibility. She would never allow him to bully her brother. Yan Xiongluo controlled this trace of soul-controlling power and wandered around in Long Mocking's consciousness. She quickly sorted out all the good luck paths in his body, and quietly used this trace of her soul-controlling power. Involves all good luck. Then he retreated. As soon as he exited, Yan Xiongluo suddenly activated his soul-controlling power. The powerful soul-controlling power instantly rushed into Long Mocking's consciousness, infusing the previous trace of soul-controlling power. Then she quickly withdrew, and all the good luck she was implicated in was immediately pulled out. Long Mocking was originally concentrating on absorbing Yuan Onluo's luck, but the power of soul control that suddenly rushed in inflicted additional injuries on his already injured consciousness and soul. He suddenly spit out a large mouthful of blood, and his head was about to split open. Suddenly, he knew that he had been discovered again. Originally, what I did today was to take a risk. It was also a bet that Yan Xiongluo would not find out so early, or that he would have already finished when he found out. I didn't expect that it would be discovered not long after it started. Long Mocking quickly endured the pain in his consciousness, soul, and body and immediately mobilized his remaining soul-controlling power to resist. But the purpose of Yan Xiongluo's attack this time was to kill him, so she didn't leave any room when she attacked. Only then did Long Mocking, who was seriously injured, realize that the power of soul control that he was proud of was in her. How weak is Xiongluo in front of his powerful strength? Yan Xiongluo's soul-controlling power is much higher than that of her mother, Long Mo Ran. Long Mocking's life is full of calculations, and he never thought that he would fail. However, he failed twice at the hands of the same person, who was still a teenage girl. Long Mocking was very unwilling to do so. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 945. Chapter 945. Look down on her. But no matter how unwilling he is, He also knows that he will not be able to win the fate of Xuanhuan. What he is more worried about now is that if he fails this time, he will be completely defeated. Long Mocking was not willing to fail like this, and suddenly opened his eyes. Let's take a gamble. Anyway, the result will not be worse. If he loses this ability that he is proud of, Long Mocking would rather die. If a person is not even afraid of death, what should he be afraid of? Xianxia pulled out all the good luck paths from Long Mocking's consciousness, kneaded them together with the power of soul control, and threw them into the Pangu space. Shiwo, refine these luck paths. For Long Mocking, problems that couldn't be solved with all his efforts were nothing to her. There was nothing in the world that Shiwo couldn't refine. Shiwo was extremely excited. It had refined a lot of things with its master in its past life. It had refined all kinds of weird things, but it had never refined people's luck. Stone Nest immediately opened the lid to catch the large ball of luck thrown in by the owner, and quickly closed the lid. It did not have the power of the owner to control the soul. If the lid was not closed in time, part of the luck inside would be lost. Shiwo shouted to Xianxia, "Master, please lend me the fire beads." Although Shiwo can refine everything in the world, it needs the help of flames. Xianxia doesn't have time to release flames for it to refine now, so it can only let the fire beads help it. With a thought, Xianxia detached the fire beads from the Pangu flower and threw them into the Pangu space. Shiwo said to Huazu, "Hurry, listen to my command and control the fire. Let's quickly refine these fortune paths and feed them back to the master. It will be of great help to the master." The fire beads floated obediently under the stone nest, burning a flame. This flame is burned directly on Huazu, which means that Huazu is now controlling the fire himself and cooperates very well with Shiwo. It only took a moment for Xianxia to hand over these fortune paths to Shiwo, but she immediately felt the fluctuations in Long Mocking's sea of consciousness, and immediately knew what he wanted to do. He actually wanted to devour her luck directly. Xianxia laughed angrily at Long Mocking's actions, showing how much he looked down on her strength. She is a celestial master, and the most powerful celestial master in the 9 heavens. One day someone will want to take away her destiny. Then how strong the opponent's luck is to achieve his goal. If people from Zhikongtian knew about this, they would definitely laugh out loud. Of course, the target of ridicule would definitely not be her, but the person who wanted to seize her destiny. Xianxia directly cut off his brother's luck that was stolen by Long Mocking. Xianxia suddenly felt light all over, and the uncomfortable feeling of having his luck stolen disappeared. He knew that it was his sister who did it, and only her sister had this strength, but she had said before that she would not let him move. Even though he was very comfortable now, he was still obedient and sat cross-legged on the 9-story lotus platform without any thought, without moving at all. After Xianxia cut off her brother's destiny, she once again rushed into Long Mocking's consciousness with her soul-controlling power. Since Long Mocking wants to seize her destiny, it is not her style to not fight back. The most important thing is that after she extracted all the good luck, the black energy around Long Mocking's body actually returned to Long Mocking's body. She wanted to know where all the black gas went. She had an instinctive hunch that all the black energy had entered Long Mocking's consciousness. This is the power of the devil. It is a delicacy that Black Danzi likes to eat. You must not miss it. Xianxia released the power of soul control and once again rushed into Long Moqing's consciousness. Long Mocking was so excited that he wanted to laugh. Xianxia was indeed fooled. How could he be so stupid? If he was not sure, he would not do it at all. After coming to Zhuyuan City, he was prepared for the worst. It can also be said that he was prepared for the worst from the beginning. Successfully seizing Yuan Luo's destiny, he can not only heal his own injuries, but also double the strength of the celestial master. If it fails, it must be Xianxia who takes action, so just seize Xianxia Luo's luck directly. The luck of the two of them is rare in the world, and it can be anyone's. It is a good thing that Yan Xianglou has removed all the good luck paths from his consciousness, so that there will be room to store Yan Xianglou's luck paths, and he will not have to deal with the messy luck paths. With Yu Xianglou's luck, those good fortunes are not worth mentioning. But Long Mocking forgot that without the blessing of these good luck paths, his success rate in doing things was almost zero. As soon as Yan Xianglou's soul-controlling power rushed in, she realized Long Mocking's true purpose. If he had plotted against someone else, he might have succeeded, but she is Yan Xianglou, the black dumpling who eats the devil's power as a delicacy. I can only say it's a pity to Long Mocking. You really are not liked by heaven, so you are not very lucky. Same, the good luck has been taken away by her, so how can there be any good luck? Yan Xianglou was not affected by Long Mocking's movements at all, but rushed straight towards the black aura. Long Mocking was dumbfounded. He just wanted to use the demonic power to deal with Yan Xianglou. Why did Yan Xianglou rush forward in excitement before he mobilized the demonic power? He didn't think that the devil was so attractive that Yan Xianglou would die on his own without him taking action. But Yan Xianglou's movements were so fast that he didn't even have time to think about it. Yan Xianglou's soul-controlling power rushed towards the demonic power in his consciousness. Then the demon's power disappeared. Long Mocking looked at his consciousness in disbelief. The demon's power that the woman gave him was indeed gone at all. At this time, Long Mocking was doubting whether the woman gave him real demonic power. That woman was the one he met the night after he came to Xuanhuan city. After talking with her, he found out that she was also from Tianqian continent and was a member of the Qin family among the 9 major families. She was also forced to this point. Long Mocking came to Xuanhuan continent relatively early. At that time, Xianxia was only 2 or 3 years old. He had no idea that there was such a girl in the Qin family, let alone what Xianxia did when she grew up. Instead, there is a feeling of sympathy for each other. The most important thing is that the two of them are of the same mind, both ruthless and unscrupulous in order to achieve their goals. There is no distinction between good and evil in Long Mocking's heart. As long as he can make himself stronger, it doesn't matter which path he takes. Therefore, when Xianxia gave him a ray of demonic power, he did not refuse. On the contrary, he felt that it was to save his own life. S method. But now Yan Xianglou didn't show up and only relied on the power of soul control to actually take away the demon's power. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 946. Chapter 946, Sister Disciple's Brother. Made him wonder if Xianxia was a fake demon, and had she given him the power of a demon. Now he has no time to think about how Yan Xianglou took away the demon's power, because he has already sensed what Yan Xianglou wants to do. She wanted to destroy his sea of consciousness. If a person's sea of consciousness is destroyed, then there will be no thought. Even if this person is alive, he is equivalent to a person without consciousness and thinking, even worse than a fool. After all, a fool still knows how to eat when he is hungry, drink when he is thirsty, and sleep when he is sleepy. After the sea of consciousness is destroyed, the person will be unable to do anything. He will have no feeling at all. He will be motionless and waiting to starve to death. Of course, because there is no spiritual consciousness, even if he dies of starvation, he will not feel the pain. Even though Long Mocking had made the decision that failure was the worst, he never thought of dying in this way. Being forced into a desperate situation, Long Mocking was so cruel that even if he was about to die, he would drag Ruan Xianglou onto his back. Therefore, Long Mocking mobilized all his soul-controlling power to chase after Yan Xianglou's soul-controlling power. Because he thought of dying together, he naturally had nothing to fear and would not retain any power. Yan Xianglou noticed Long Mocking's intention and sneered. She dared to enter his sea of consciousness, so she was naturally fully prepared. Originally, I wanted to destroy his sea of consciousness myself, but now it seems I don't have to do it myself. Let Long Moqing taste the feeling of committing suicide. Yan Xianglou was very curious, did Long Mocking regret what he had done after his life ended? However, this curiosity should no longer be satisfied. The sea of consciousness is destroyed. When this person dies, he is completely destroyed and will never have another life. Because the divine consciousness and the divine soul are one, if the sea of consciousness is destroyed and the divine soul has no consciousness, it will naturally not exist. Just when Long Mocking's soul-controlling power was chasing after him, Yan Xianglou deliberately exposed some flaws, making him mistakenly think that the time had come to explode the soul-controlling power. He wanted to use the power of the soul-controlling power to explode, and follow the Ruan Xianglou gained the power to control her soul and attacked her sea of consciousness, destroying her sea of consciousness. But just when his soul-controlling power exploded, Yan Xianglou actually cut off her soul-controlling power and instantly withdrew from his sea of consciousness. After Long Mocking discovered her action, it was too late to regret it. He could only watch his sea of consciousness being destroyed by his soul-controlling power. After a dazzling light flashed, only a roar was left, and Long Mocking didn't know anything else. The body that was sitting cross-legged on the bed also collapsed and lay flat on the bed. Zhizhong, who was keeping in the dark, heard Long Mocking's roar and immediately rushed into his room. What he saw was Long Mocking lying upright on the bed, with his eyes open and the most angry expression on his face. At that moment, no other reaction was possible. By this time, Yan Xianglou had already opened her eyes. She took out the sound transmission stone and told Zhizhong that she could just destroy Long Mocking's body. Zhizhong didn't ask any more questions. He raised his hand and a stream of flame fell on Long Mocking's body. It was burned dry and quiet in an instant, leaving not even a trace of ashes. Leave other matters to Xian, and Zhizhong went back. Yan Xianglou glanced at her younger brother who was still sitting obediently on the 9-story lotus platform and said, "Come down." Wan Anluo opened her eyes when she heard her sister's voice, and stood up from the 9-story lotus platform, feeling a little reluctant to leave. Seeing his expression, Yan Xianglou knew that her younger brother knew the benefits of the 9-layer lotus platform. She smiled and said, "Want it?" Yan Anluo's eyes suddenly lit up and she nodded, "I want it." Yan Xianglou stopped smiling and her voice became serious, "Then first think about where you went wrong today." Wan Anluo's happy smile suddenly froze, and she glanced at her parents cautiously. She saw her parents looking at him without saying anything, obviously having the same idea as her sister. He rubbed his fingers and said in a low voice, "I shouldn't have gone to the outer city without telling my parents. I didn't protect myself well when I went there, allowing the bad guys to take advantage of it. I even got a little carried away. I didn't expect that I was hid falling into someone else's trap." Yan Xiangluo's mouth twitched, "Now I understand quite a bit." Wan Anluo immediately smiled flatteringly and said, "Sister, just this time, please forgive me. I promise I will never make such a mistake again in the future." Yan Xiangluo was not soft-hearted, "Do you forgive yourself?" Hearing this, Wan Anluo suddenly fainted again, "I don't forgive you. I hate myself when I think about being smuggled again." Seeing that he really knew what his mistake was, Yan Xiangluo didn't want to force his younger brother to be a coward, so he relaxed and said, "You are still young. Although you live a wandering life with your parents, you are more mature than other children of the same age. But after all, you still have your parents protecting you, and you have experienced few conspiracies. Our status is destined not to live an ordinary life, and is destined to have many ups and downs in life that ordinary people will not experience, a single oversight and a fluke. It will cost us our lives. Xuanhuan cried. He knew that because the people in Zhuyuan City were protecting him, he forgot that danger could appear at any time. The younger brother cried, and Yan Xianglego also felt distressed, but if he didn't let him deeply realize where he was wrong, he might not have such a good life next time. After the lesson is over, you still have to coax. However, you performed very well today when you discovered something was wrong. You didn't hide anything and immediately came to your sister for help. This minimized the danger. This is worthy of praise. Xuanhuan immediately raised his head and realized that he had something good to do today. Yan Xianglego smiled, although your behavior is not advisable, I still want to thank you for the flowers you gave me. Xuanhuan's eyes lit up. My sister liked the flowers he sent. It was great. He immediately jumped down from the 9-story lotus platform and came to Yan Xianglego's side. He looked up at her and said in a serious and flattering tone, Sister, I really know that I was wrong. I will never let my sister and my parents do it again. Don't worry, sister, let's go see the flowers, they are really beautiful. Don't want the 9-story lotus platform, Yan Xianglego pointed at the 9-story lotus platform. Xuanhuan said, Can I have it? Sitting on this 9-layer lotus platform, the meridians of the entire body feel smooth. If you sit on it during cultivation, you will definitely get twice the result with half the effort. Of course, it will be safe from now on, Yan Xianglego said. Since I am just a younger brother, I still have to pamper him a little. After getting the definite answer, Xuanhuan jumped up excitedly, then jumped to the 9-story lotus platform, jumping up and down from the top. Her excitement was beyond words. Jizhou Hong saw Luoluo Sundi when he came back, so he didn't bother him and just stood beside Ancestor Zimo. Seeing that she had already taught her brother a lesson and then coaxed him back to good health, Jizhou Hong looked forward to whether Luoluo would teach her like this if they had children. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 947. Chapter 947 is away. Jizhou Hong felt very happy just by imagining that scene. Xuanhuan looked at her happy brother. This is the childhood and happiness that a 6-year-old child should have. Although her younger brother didn't have much happiness before because of his parents and their status, she still won't be stingy when she can give it now. I don't want my younger brother to live like a noob, but I also don't want to deprive him of the joy of childhood. Yan Xianglego glanced at the Pangu space. Haituanzi was digesting the magic power he had just sent to it. Shiwo and Firebead were refining the path of luck. They were both very busy. She turned to look at her parents, Jizhou Hong and Ancestor Zimo. She saw her parents looking at her with relief. She understood what her parents meant, but what did Jizhou Hong mean when he looked at her with the same expression? Yan Xianglego raised her eyebrows speechlessly and shouted to her younger brother, Enan, aren't you going to take your sister to see flowers? Xuanhuan jumped down from the 9-story lotus platform excitedly. I'm so excited, let's go, sister, let's go see the flowers now. Yan Xianglego pulled him and said, put away the 9-story lotus platform first. Xuanhuan glanced at the 9-story lotus platform that was almost as high as the house they lived in, and said a little worriedly, it takes up too much space. It looks like I have to ask Dad to refine another space ring for me. Yan Xianglego smiled and rubbed his head, just shed blood to identify the master. The 9-story lotus platform is not an ordinary object. Xuanhuan's eyes suddenly lit up. Sister, is the 9-Cheng lotus platform a spiritual object or a spiritual weapon? Only spiritual objects, divine objects, spiritual weapons and artifacts can be contracted. Yan Xianglego smiled and said, you will know after you sign the contract. Xuanhuan immediately condensed a drop of blood and threw it on the 9-story lotus platform. After a red light of contract flashed, the 9-story lotus platform disappeared in front of several people. Xuanhuan looked at the 9-layer lotus platform in her consciousness and opened her mouth in shock. Then he looked up at his sister. As expected, his sister loved him the most and was very good to him. This was a sacred item. He gave it to him just because he liked his sister. He must treat his sister better, and better in the future. Sister, I'm so happy. Xuanhuan threw herself into her sister's arms and hugged her waist, saying with a choked voice. Xianxia didn't expect her brother's reaction to be so big. She put her arms around him, patted his back with one hand and rubbed his head with the other. You are my brother, so naturally you want to grow up happily. Although Zhizhikong felt that his brother-in-law's hand around his wife's waist was an eyesore, he did not dare to object. A look of helplessness flashed through his eyes. Why did he feel that Luo raised her brother as his son? What my brother-in-law said was correct. Compared to the two of them, he was indeed too happy. Xianxia and his wife were very pleased. They had been worried that their daughter would not be able to accept the sudden appearance of her younger brother. When they first met, they could see that although their daughter tried her best to accept his younger brother's existence, there was still some estrangement in her heart. Now the two siblings getting along with each other is the real blood relative. This is what they want to see most. Xianxia asked Zhizhikong, who is the inner ghost? The person who can deceive his son must be someone who has access to the son. Only the people around him can know that the son wants to get some flowers for his sister, so they can deceive the son out. But they thought about everyone around them, especially the people who had interacted with Anan in the past few days, and they couldn't find any suspects. Zhizhikong said, after checking, it's not a human being. It should be Long Mocking's contracted spiritual pet, the phantom spirit bird. Xianxia's ability. If someone really deceived Anan, they would definitely be able to find out, but Xian didn't find the person. After Zhizhikong killed Long Mocking, his contracted spiritual pet appeared. The owner was dead and the contracted spiritual pet could not survive. Therefore, Zhizhikong saw Long Mocking's contracted spiritual pet, which was a phantom bird. The phantom bird does not have much combat power, but it has the ability to cause hallucinations, detect information, and confuse people's hearts. The cultivation level of Long Mocking's phantom bird is not low, and it is enough to deal with Anan. None of the people present expected such a result, but thinking that the people in the inner city of Xuanhuan City were all people who had sworn the oath, whether it was the Black Feather Guards or their own people, as well as the teachers recruited by Xuanhuan Academy, coupled with the profound pattern formation carved by Zhizhikong, indeed no one can leak information about the inner city. And there are too few people who can come into contact with him, and they are all his own people. Xianxia frowned. It seems that we need to add another layer of protection to our protection. When students from Xuanhuan College come, we have to separate the residential area. Zhizhikong nodded. I will arrange for Xian to do this. However, it is really difficult to guard against some spiritual beasts with special abilities. I will think of a way. As everyone knows, people can guard against them, but spiritual beasts have all kinds of abilities, making them really difficult to guard against and difficult to come up with a solution to. Xianxia thought of the spirit beast and was worried that Xianxia would also do something about it. Xianxia should have bribed a lot of people. Long Mocking's consciousness has the power of demons, and people can bribe it. Spirit beasts are easier to control, and maybe some of the people being bribed have some kind of spiritual beast with weird auras, so we have to be more careful. Xianxia sighed. People with unstable minds and no moral bottom line will still do evil regardless of Xianxia's appearance. It's okay. We can take this opportunity to eradicate some of them first, and treat them as doing justice for heaven. These are the spirits. It's really hard to deal with beasts. Zhizhikong said, we have the divine beast here, so we don't have to worry about dealing with Xianxia. The main thing is to defend ourselves after we leave. Xianxia blinked her eyes. It would be great if we could find a spiritual beast with special abilities to be the guardian beast of Xuanhuan City. Xianxia's words made several people's eyes light up at the same time. Then they all said in unison, this is a way. Yan Xiongluo suddenly smiled when he saw it. Let me test it later. Where is the guardian beast of Jueyuan City? How could she forget her own abilities? The Heavenly Master's abilities are just for display, why can't she remember to use them? A few people laughed, and Long Moran also said, I'll test it too. Then we, mother and daughter, can see if our directions are the same. Let's go and see the flowers first. Yan Xiongluo looked at her brother, who looked expectantly, and said. Hearing this, Yan Onluo quickly took Yan Xiongluo to the front yard to see the flowers he bought for his sister. Looking at the two siblings leaving happily, the couple, Wan Chenjai and his wife, Jizimo and Jizhong, also followed them with smiles. Yan Onluo put all the flowers she bought in a room in the front yard. When she opened the door, Yan Xiongluo saw a room full of flowers. Although they are all planted in flower pots, each pot blooms vigorously, and the mixed flowers are particularly fragrant. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 948. Chapter 948. The Color of Home. The flower pots are of different sizes and the flowers are of different heights, but without exception they are all well grown. Enan, did you buy all the flowers from someone else's flower shop? Yan Xiongluo asked her brother with a smile. It's almost the same, I bought all the nice looking ones. He felt that this was not enough. After all, his sister's new house was a large bedroom in the palace. Wan Onluo felt a little depressed when she thought that the flower shop might have been opened just to plot against herself. I have always felt that I am a child, but I am also a smart child. It is so stupid to be bought by others and help them make money. Sister likes them very much, thank you. And Yan Xiongluo really likes these flowers. Wan Onluo immediately became happy when she saw that her sister liked her. Forget it, just be stupid as long as your sister likes it. Besides, being stupid this time has some effect. Didn't sister kill the bad guy to avoid future troubles? I no longer have to be afraid of being deprived of my destiny. Thinking of this, the child Ruan Onluo became happy again, then put them all in my sister's new house. Okay, let's put it out now. Yan Xiongluo also wanted to know how their new house was decorated. The siblings collected all the flowers and then went to the palace. Wan Chenjai, his wife, and Jizimo did not follow, but Jizhong did, mainly because he still had something to discuss with Luoluo. After a few days, the palace has changed a lot. Every step of the way there is a bright red color. The color that Yan Xiongluo liked in her past and present lives. Yan Xiongluo herself doesn't know why she likes bright red in this life. Maybe it's the memory of past lives brought deep in her soul. But in her previous life, she liked bright red because she had no family and was supported by beggars. Whether she was a beggar at that time or a monk later, she envied the most when there was a happy event in that family and they were covered in red. In her heart, the bright red is the color of home, a warm color. Even though she later saw that the fate of people with families was equally miserable, she did not change her preference. Perhaps it was the only spiritual salvation when she was poor and helpless as a child. Now this bright red belongs to her, it is the color of true love, liking, happiness, and warmth. Jizhong saw her slowing down, walked to the other side of her, and said softly, "Do you like it?" Yan Xiongluo turned to look at him and smiled, "I like it." Simple questions and simple answers, but only they know what the question is and what the answer is. Wan Onluo, who was holding her sister's hand on the other side, looked up at the two of them. Although she didn't know the reason, she felt that the atmosphere between them was a little different from usual. But the way they looked at each other was like this sometimes between parents. The child Ruan Onluo's big eyes flashed exactly like his sister's and she suddenly understood that this was the love between an adult and a man. Jizhong held Yan Xiongluo's hand on the other side and told her about the wedding arrangements and procedures while walking. Jizhong thought it would be a good idea to let Luoluo take a look now. After all, Luoluo couldn't see because his head was blocking it that day. The ceremony will be held here, and then we will return to our dormitory. Ji Zhong pointed to the main hall in front and said to Ruan Xiangluo. Today's Zhuyuan Palace has lost its status as the center of power in the world and is just their home in Zhuyuan continent. Therefore, Ji Zhong always followed his ideas. Of course, his preferences were also derived from Yan Xiangluo's preferences. They finally arrived at their dormitory. The dormitory had been completely renovated. Like the previous hall, it had been repainted both inside and outside. The magnificent Zhuyuan Palace was once again presented. Wan Enluo let go of her sister's hand and ran in, thinking about where to put the flowers he bought. Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhong stood in front of the door hand in hand, looking into the palace, and then smiled at each other. Their wishes in the past and present life were finally coming true. Looking at her busy younger brother, Yan Xiangluo finally realized the meaning of siblings at this moment. Soon, she joined her brother in arranging flowers. This flower has a refreshing effect, so it is not suitable to be placed in the bedroom. It is suitable to be placed in the study room opposite. While arranging flowers with her brother, Yan Xiangluo told him what the fragrance of each flower does and which ones are suitable to be placed in the bedroom. There. They also found a few pots of slightly toxic pots. Nuan Enluo wanted to destroy them immediately, but Ruan Xiangluo stopped him. Don't touch it, don't eat it, it's fine if you just watch it, it's also nice to put outside, Yan Xiangluo explained to her brother. Wan Enluo didn't expect that there were so many ways to use flowers, so he listened very carefully, so that later he even placed appropriate flowers inside and outside his natal house. Because I knew that their family liked flowers, it became popular to display flowers at home in the outer city, so that several flower shops were opened in the outer city, and the business was very good. The two siblings here had just finished their work when Chang Feng came. Master, Mistress, the Demon King of the Demon Realm is here. He said he came to congratulate the Master and Mistress on their wedding. People from the outer city of Zhuyuan City have been here for the past few days. There are so many people, and now people are blocking the city gate, both inside and outside. Ji Zhong and Yan Xiangluo looked at each other, and Ji Zhong said, "Let's go, our sworn brother is here, we must go and pick him up in person." Jin Yutang was stunned when he heard his master's words. What, the Demon King is his master's sworn brother? How come they didn't know? I immediately understood that the Demon King should be their mistress' adopted brother, and I was a little shocked. When did Yan Xiangluo know the Demon King, and their relationship is so good? Fortunately, he had already warned the people guarding the city gate that the master was getting married. No matter who came to congratulate them, they must be respectful and polite. Even if someone with a special status came, they must treat them with courtesy and report to the master. Make a decision later. There is no need for anything unpleasant to happen because of them. If the Demon King was attacked as soon as he arrived, how would he explain it to his mistress? Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhong led the people out of the inner city in a mighty manner, and all the way to the gate of the outer city. They saw the Demon King Ge Tianjun standing outside the city gate with his hands behind his back, followed by a large group of guards. Standing beside was the counselor Fu Qingfeng, who hated her the most. It's just that the way Fu Qingfeng looked at Yan Xiangluo now no longer had the disgust before, but was a bit more complicated. Many monks were blocked inside and outside the city gate, all looking at Ge Tianjun with evil eyes. Had it not been for the black feather guards to clear the way, it would have been difficult for them to get outside the city gate. "Brother, why are you here?" Yan Xiangluo shouted happily as soon as she saw Ge Tianjun, with joy in her tone. The monks who saw Ji Zhong and Yan Xiangluo coming, originally thought they were going to have a big fight. But when they heard what Yan Xiangluo said, they realized that they were here to pick up the Demon King, and they were all stunned. Ji Zhong also bowed respectfully and said, "Sworn brother." Ge Tianjun's cold face softened immediately after seeing Yu Xiang. "I came too early to worry about affecting your work. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck." Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 949. Chapter 949, Adopted Father and Adopted Mother. What's the impact? I don't have to do it myself. If my sworn brother comes early, he can still watch the excitement. Xianxia walked over and said with a smile like a flower. Tianjun raised his eyebrows. Both of them have the highest cultivation level in the mainland. Is there anyone who is so ignorant as to stir up trouble? But now he was at the gate of the city, so he couldn't ask any more questions. He laughed and said, "It's not too late to come today. Isn't there still fun to see?" Xianxia knew that he was referring to Mo Qinsui, who was about to face him. Xuanhuan made an inviting gesture. "Brother, please come in." The three of them walked side by side towards the city. The monks were stunned. Is that the Demon King? He just entered the city like this? Are they not worried that the devil will be bad for them? When did the relationship between demonic cultivation and spiritual cultivation become so good? They really want to object, but Xuanhuan city does not belong to them. They have no right to object, and it is useless to object seeing how close they are. Tianjun knew Xuanhuan city very well. People reported to him about Xuanhuan city every day, but today was the first time he saw with his own eyes that Xuanhuan could make Xuanhuan city prosperous like this in such a short period of time. Wrist. You know, Xuanhuan has only been in the first calendar land for a month, and has not put all his time and energy into building the Ninefold city. Jin Yutang made an invitation gesture to Fu Qingfeng, "Please come in." Fu Qingfeng was in a very complicated mood, and followed Tianjun into the city with his guards. Along the way, black feather guards were clearing the way on both sides. People were crowded on both sides of the road. Many of them were curious about what kind of person the Demon King Tianjun was. Xianxia introduced Xuanhuan city to Tianjun. Xuanhuan added at any time that by the time he reached the gate of the inner city, Tianjun already had a relatively in-depth understanding of the outer city of Xuanhuan city. After entering the inner city, Tianjun looked at Xuanhuan with admiration. At this time, he also understood that Xuanhuan really had no intention of dominating the spiritual world of Xuanhuan continent. It was really built with Xuanhuan city as its own territory, not as a dynasty power center. Such a Ninefold city made him want to stay. The two of them did not invite Tianjun to the palace. After all, they were the natal family of Xianxia, so they naturally wanted to live in the palace. Tianjun was very satisfied with this arrangement. Xuanjai and his wife heard that Tianjun was coming. The door of Yu's mansion is open, with bright red silk fluttering. There are attendants on both sides of the door, and Xuanjai and his wife are standing at the door. Seeing a group of people approaching, Xuanjai's eyes fell on Tianjun, who was wearing a black brocade robe. Without asking, he knew that he was the Demon King. From the first sense, Xuanjai knew that his daughter had good taste. He had heard her talk about how she met Tianjun before, and he felt that her daughter was forced to be friends with Tianjun, and they only became friends with her sincerely. Now seeing Tian, he knew that his daughter had a pair of wise eyes. "Mom and Dad, he is my sworn brother Tianjun." Xianxia immediately happily introduced him to his parents. Tianjun saluted before Xuanjai and his wife could speak. Tianjun has met his adopted father and adopted mother. Xuanjai and his wife were stunned by Tianjun's address, and there was no reaction for a moment. Xianxia smiled and said, "Father, Mother, I promised to give up half of my father and mother to my step-brother. Now that the step-brother has come to visit me, I can't break my promise." Xuanjai was speechless. It was the first time he knew that his parents could still give half of their money to others. However, they don't reject having an adopted son like the Demon King. As long as those who are good to their daughter are their own, they don't care about magic or spiritual cultivation. Xianxia laughed and said, "That's a big advantage for us as a couple. We got such an outstanding son in vain." Long Moran also smiled, and his tone became much more friendly. "Tianjun, come in quickly." Tianjun was in a good mood when he saw the reaction of Xianxia and his wife. It seemed that her adopted sister's parents were really as she said, and they did not have the concept that worldly people and demons could not coexist peacefully. Only such parents can raise a daughter with such a special temperament as Yan Xiangluo. Wan Enluo looked up at Tianjun and blinked. "You are my parents' son, so you are my brother." Tianjun looked down at Xiao doubting. He knew that his adopted sister had a 6-year-old brother, and this should be him. He smiled and said, "Then do you want me as your brother? I think, I have parents, a sister, a brother-in-law, but no brother yet, so will you be good to me?" Wan Enluo's big eyes flashed. Tianjun laughed and said, "Of course I will be nice to Anan is still a little exciter." Yan Xiangluo was also speechless. She didn't know that her brother was a scheming person, but she knew that she wanted Tianjun's promise when they met for the first time. The group of people happily entered the concubine's house. Long Moran said, "I knew you were coming. The yard has been tidied up for you a long time ago. Let's see if there are any missing items and we can add more." Tianjun didn't even remember that he had been cared for so much by his elders. This feeling was strange and comfortable. "I live a casual life, my adoptive mother can make arrangements for me," Tianjun said respectfully, without looking like a king at all. After all, he is only staying for a few days, not for a long time, and he will not ask for much. But he was still very moved when he saw the courtyard where he lived. It was prepared like a guest courtyard, just as if he was going to live there for a long time. There was no shortage of necessary items and everything, and the courtyard was also carefully decorated. Even the people he brought were arranged in the courtyard near him, and they were carefully arranged inside. Long Moran said, "This will be Tianjun's courtyard from now on. Whenever you have time, you can come home and stay for a few days." Tianjun's heart felt warm. It was the first time someone treated him as a family member. At this time, he felt even more that it was absolutely right to sworn a sworn brother to Yan Xiangluo just based on his feelings. Even Fu Qingfeng felt a sense of shame when he saw the yard where he lived. After all, he knew very well what he thought about Yu Xiangluo. Yan Xiangluo cooked lunch herself. She had promised to cook for Tianjun. If she didn't take advantage of this opportunity, she might not have time in the future. After all, they would leave Zhuyuan continent on the 15th day of the first lunar month. Although Fu Qingfeng did not eat the food cooked by Yan Xiangluo, Mu Zixian, Chang Feng, and Jin Yutang sat at another table with him and ate the food cooked by Feng Jiayan. This alone shocked him greatly. The spiritual chef in a concubine's house is actually better at cooking than the royal chef in their devil's palace. He has never eaten a meal with such complete spiritual energy preservation. After all, he has not eaten for a long time. How did he know that Feng Jiayan was the most talented person in the mainland's #1 spiritual chef family, but she was plotted by the family's children and then abandoned by the family? Her natural talent is good, and with the guidance of Yan Xiangluo, her current cooking skills are really unsatisfactory to anyone except Yan Xiangluo. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 950. Chapter 950 As a gift from my brother. Changfeng and Jin Yutang are both cold-faced. In this situation, it depends on Mu Zixian, who is familiar with the situation. With him here, the atmosphere will not be cold, and the conversation with Fu Qingfeng will be very lively. Hearing Fu Qingfeng praise the cook for his good cooking skills, he pointed to the table where Yan Xiangluo and theirs were sitting. "Our mistress is the best at cooking." Fu Qingfeng was stunned. He knew that Yan Xiangluo cooked the food for the king himself, but he didn't know that her cooking skills were even better than the cook who was eating the table from him. At this time, a gust of wind blew over, blowing the aroma of the food on the table to Yan Xiangluo. Only then did he realize that Xian was not exaggerating at all. "Your mistress is indeed a genius." Fu Qingfeng's words came from the bottom of his heart. The better he got to know Yan Xiangluo now, the more he realized how narrow-minded he once was. When he saw Ji Zhozhong again, he felt very ashamed that he had thought that Yan Xiangluo's contact with the king was because he had thoughts about the king. She already has a fiancé, and he is a good one among men. Even a man like the king cannot fall in her eyes. He could clearly sense the tacit understanding between Yan Xiangluo and Ji Zhozhong, and the deep affection that naturally emerged. The relationship between them is not ordinary deep. Ge Tianjun formally toasted to Yu Chenjai and his wife and recognized his adoptive parents. Wan Chenjai and Long Moran also prepared a meeting gift. Although they knew that Ge Tianjun lacked nothing, they still had to give a meeting gift. When Ge Tianjun received the greeting gift, he felt like he was dreaming. He couldn't even remember how old he was when he last received a gift from his elders. Actually, he is a few years younger than Sun Chenjai and his wife, but he consciously regards them according to their seniority. Moreover, this gift is a gift ring, which makes Ge Tianjun feel very wealthy. When he saw what was inside, he immediately felt that he had taken advantage. The adoptive parents were so generous. Fortunately, the gift I prepared for my adopted sister was thoughtful, otherwise it would have been embarrassing. Most of the holding rings are weapons refined by Wan Chenjai himself, and the last ones are spiritual weapons. There are also some treasures that the couple got in the first training place. They were lucky and filled several gift rings. Hence, there is nothing ambiguous about giving a greeting gift to your godson. The meeting gift given by Chenjai and his wife was prepared before the meal. Since he is his daughter's adopted brother and their adopted son, he cannot embarrass his daughter. Fu Qingfeng felt like he was dreaming. He never expected that the king would have such an unexpected surprise when he came to Zhuyuan City to attend the wedding. He even felt that he had been too petty before and looked down on Ruan Xiangluo. The whole family was so open-minded that he felt a little embarrassed. Yan Xiangluo saw that Ge Tianjun was emotionally moved by his parents, and immediately smiled and said, "Sister-in-law, you are my only brother. On the wedding day, you have to trouble my brother to send me out." Ge Tianjun was stunned. He knew very well the significance of sending a bride out. It was a privilege only a close brother could have, but his adopted sister actually asked him to send her out. Ge Tianjun smiled in relief. Isn't this the family love that he always wanted but couldn't get? What else is he struggling with? Of course, my sister naturally wants me, the elder brother, to send her out. The lunch was lively and atmospheric. After lunch, Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xiangluo accompanied Ge Tianjun to visit Zhuyuan Academy and the training tower. Finally, they walked around the palace and then returned to Yan's mansion. When only the three of them were left, Ge Tianjun said, "Qin Suiyu hasn't done anything. She probably wants to do it on your wedding day." Ji Zhidian nodded, "That day is the most likely." The three of them discussed the arrangements for that day and tried to be as thoughtful as possible. At this time, Qin Suiyu was in a house in the outer city and was in an extremely bad mood. When Ji Zhozhong and Yan Xiangluo went to pick up the Demon King, she hid in the dark and watched. Seeing Ji Zhozhong again, she still couldn't control her heart. The man she loved so much was going to get married the day after tomorrow, and the bride was not her. At the beginning, she firmly believed that she was Ji Zhozhong's future wife. She never thought that she had never entered his heart, nor did she think that they would be the result of such unrelenting hostility. I saw that Ji Zhozhong, who had no other expression except indifference since childhood, actually showed such a gentle expression towards Yan Xiangluo. Qin Suiyu wanted to tear Yu Xiang into pieces. She forced herself to suppress the unwillingness and hatred in her heart. If she waited, they would not get married under her nose. It's also good to get Ji Zhong's heart. She wants him to see her kill the woman he loves most and then be ravaged by her, just to make his life worse than death. At this time, there were more people inside and outside Jueyuan City. People from various forces from all over the mainland rushed to Jueyuan City. Although he did not receive an invitation, this is the only opportunity to enter the inner city of Jueyuan City, and it is very likely that he can also enter the Jueyuan Palace. Besides, even the current cultivation levels of Ji Zhikong and Yan Xianglou are worthy of congratulations on their wedding. They are the youngest powerful men in the history of Jueyuan continent who have reached the 9th level of peak strength in overcoming the tribulation. They are beyond their reach. Even now, storytellers have compiled their experiences into books and told them in various tea houses, and people who don't know their life experiences have listened. Hence, the outside of Jueyuan City can be described as overcrowded in the past few days as the wedding day approaches. Why is it said that there are overcrowding outside the city? Because, not everyone who comes to congratulate you can enter Jueyuan City. It is difficult to enter the outer city, let alone the inner city. Jueyuan City has not relaxed any rules because of the city lord's wedding. People who enter the city, except those who have received invitations, and those who come to attend the wedding without invitations from various powerful families and sects, must obtain Ji Zhong's permission before they can enter. At this time, the forces, sects, and families with businesses and residences in Jueyuan City became proud. They can bring people from their clansmen and their own powerful sects in, and during this process they have to accept the envious looks of countless people, who all feel that they are superior to others. Yan Xianglou only sent an invitation to Fang 11er, and Fang 11er's eldest brother and father borrowed her light to enter Jueyuan City, only because they came to Jueyuan City at Fang 11er's request. I bought a yard and a shop, otherwise I really wouldn't be able to get in. Not only that, he also borrowed Fang 11er's light to enter the inner city and lived in a residence specially designed to receive people who accepted invitations to attend the wedding. People living here can directly observe the ceremony. However, only Fang 11er entered the palace. As soon as Yan Xianglou and Ji Zhong left Ge Tianjun's yard, Yan Xianglou received the news that Fang 11er had arrived. Fang 11er was her only friend in Jueyuan continent. She was very happy to be able to attend her wedding and immediately asked someone to invite Fang 11er in.